3. Are we live? I don't know. Hello. We are live on Facebook. On the interwebs, we are live.
Wow.
Welcome, everyone. We are just a few minutes early. I'm here with Carmen, and we are going to be talking about energy healing, Reiki, prayer, whatever else comes up that we might be able to answer, who knows. But like I said, we are early, so we're going to take a little bit of time to share this on our own personal social media feeds. So we invite you to share it as well so that we can get information out about prayer and energy healing. So we'll be back with you in just a few moments. Please excuse us as we share.
See you soon.
I am not seeing us on here. Let's see. There we are. Okay, let's share this. Let's see, I'm going to share it to my personal page first. Why not? If you're just joining us, we are just taking a few minutes before we actually start, and we're going to, Carmen and I are sharing this on several pages so that we can build an audience. So take this time if you can and share it on your page, or share it to a group that you're part of. We do appreciate it. Share it to the prayer chaplains. Hey, Christina Hampton, we saw that you just joined. Welcome. We're going to be starting in just a few moments. And while we're waiting, just think of some questions you have about prayer and energy healing. Hello, Stell. We see that you joined us as well. Well, we got, how many people we got here already? Wow. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Marie. Welcome, welcome. So we are live from Unity on the Bay in Miami, Florida. Happy to report that it is sunny and hot.
It sure is.
So wherever you're watching us from, welcome. It is officially 6:01, so I guess it's a good time to start, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So my name is Jason Weeks. I'm a staff member here at Unity on the Bay. It's my pleasure to work in this type of environment and be connected to wonderful people like Carmen, who we have the pleasure of speaking with tonight because she actually is a trained prayer chaplain here at Unity on the Bay, and also relies heavily on prayer in her life, right?
Yes.
And she's also been doing energy healing for how long?
Oh my God, a long time.
I feel like it's like 10 years or something.
More.
More?
2002.
Wow.
16 years.
16 years, wow.
Yeah.
And we'll get more into your journey into being an energy healer in a second, but we just want to remind you that this is an interactive Facebook Live. So if you have questions about prayer, if you have questions about energy healing, you're welcome to post them in the comments section, and we will periodically check that and get those answered for you. So welcome again. Do you want to add anything, Carmen?
No.
Nothing?
Which way do you want to go?
Well, since it is tea time, we got some, looks like tea, but it's not tea. It's a little hot in this office, so we have some water, right? We're just drinking water here, we promise.
Keeping it honest?
Yeah, keeping it honest. Hey, Christina. Hey, Paul. Welcome, welcome. Paul says, I was trained in Unity on the Bay with Luzette. Yes, Reverend Luzette. I remember Reverend Luzette. I just saw her this past Saturday. She was here for a celebration of life. So she's still around these parts, Paul. So Carmen, let's talk about what happened in your life where you were like, I want to be an energy healer.
Honestly speaking, I was disenchanted. There was a time when I wanted to study medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived with my grandmother and my great aunt, and I was disenchanted with the whole healing process approach of regular medicine, of Western medicine. And so I decided I wanted to do something different. And I wanted to go into massage school. And it was not in my budget at the time. So I saw an announcement for Reiki, and it caught my attention. And I said, okay, I'll go into this, and this is going to be my way to find out whether I really like to do this or not. Mm-hmm. And so I fell in love with Reiki. I did all 3 levels. And that was in 2002. And then in 2006, I became a massage therapist. So, and they just work together, and they're linked together, and then so that's.
If you have not gotten a massage by a Reiki master, I highly recommend it because it's the most amazing experience ever. Because not only are you massaging your physical body, but you're really getting worked over on your energetic body, right?
As well, yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's the best. And afterwards, you just feel like you want to be scooped up and put right into bed. I mean, you're just like done, right?
Yes.
So relaxed, yeah.
Yeah, and the energy, I mean, the way the messages flow and the guidance flow as to where to go and how to do the massage and all that stuff, it's guided by the same Reiki energy. And so it has a different approach versus it's not just a regular cookie cutter massage, but it's just guided to whatever you need in that moment.
It's so good. I highly recommend it. Now, I too studied Reiki probably like 10 years ago. And I remember when I first started, you're dealing with the non-physical energy fields. Did you ever feel like this is a little weird in the beginning? Like I can't really touch or feel this, so is it really working?
No, because I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry, so I'm used to dealing with and thinking in terms of energy and of atoms and electrons and magnetic fields and fields that are all around us that we cannot see, and the power lines extending magnetic fields all the way to us. And there have been studies and researches of how those can affect us negatively or positively. So this is just another kind of energy that was not seen. Like when we go to the hospital to get an MRI, it's reading the magnetic field of our body. So even though we don't see it right now, we're in each other's magnetic fields. So
it feels good to be there.
It does. I agree. I like your magnetic field too. So I had that mentality already of us being more just than the physical, more than what the visual is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you kind of brought like a science background into it.
Right. Yes.
And it wasn't as woo-woo for you then.
Right. Yeah. Because for me it had a basis in science, or it made sense with what I knew scientifically about our physical bodies.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's awesome. I love that. I love the joining of science and spirituality. So if you're just joining us, we're sitting here with the lovely Carmen, who is a Reiki master and prayer chaplain here at Unity on the Bay. And we are taking any questions you have about prayer, any questions you have about energy healing or Reiki. And I think this is a good time to tell you that we do have a Reiki healing circle here at Unity on the Bay. The first Wednesday of the month, which is you?
Yes.
Yeah, so Carmen does the first Wednesday of the month at 8:15 p.m. And then we have Terry Stefanov the third Wednesday of the month at 8:15. So if you haven't experienced Reiki, you can come and experience it here at Unity on the Bay.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. It's in a group setting, so you'll get a little bit of it. And the Reiki energy always flows it's guided by your higher self. So you always get as much as you need and as much as you allow. So your will is always respected in Reiki.
Hi, Suzanne. Suzanne says, happy Thursday, Carmen and Jason. Awesome to see both of you.
Thank you.
Good to virtually see you too, Suzanne. So let's take this back. Let's take Reiki back to people who have never heard of it, so that we can get as elementary as possible with this. Now, can Reiki heal broken bones?
Technically, it could. So when I got first trained in it for it, they told us, like, whenever there was something like a broken bone or something like that, to not do Reiki until the bone was set in place.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why is that?
So that was the train, because it would heal it as it was. So,
ooh, okay. So then
once the bone is set in place, then you can do some Reiki energy to assist the healing process, but wait for the bones to be set in place before.
That makes sense. You don't want no crooked arm, right?
Yes.
That makes sense. Hi, Reverend Juan. We see that you joined as well. Suzanne says, what are the roots of Reiki? I don't know a lot about where it comes from.
So Dr. Usui, so there are different stories about it. But so the story I was taught was Dr. Usui was a principal at a Christian school in Japan. He's Japanese. And so his graduating class challenged him to heal like Jesus used to do. So he didn't know how to do that, and he came to the US, the story says. So my idea is that he came here, he went to the University of Chicago and studied there, but when they have gone back to do research at the University of Chicago, there are no records of him being there. So to me, I think that was just an idea that was brought to us to, so it would be easier for us in America to accept this healing process. That's my perspective. But so the story is that he goes on a search, which that part I believe is true. He goes on a search for answers on the healing patterns and on the healing process. And wherever he went, he couldn't find the answers. He couldn't find anybody that could teach him how to do it, that they will tell him that kind of healing is not done anymore, the hands-on healing process. And so he continues his search. He goes back to Japan. He goes into even Buddhist monasteries where they tell him it is not done any longer. And so he decides, when he's on the verge of giving up, to go into the Buddhist scriptures. And so the first Buddhist scriptures that he reads, he doesn't find answers there. But when he goes into the Sanskrit scriptures, he finds there the process, but he always needed the teacher. It was a process that was passed from teacher to student, and so he didn't have anybody to initiate him in the process. So he decides to go up to the mountain for 21 days and fast for 21 days. And so in this process of fasting, he's given the keys to Reiki, and so that's where he comes in, and he decides when he comes down from the mountain, among other things, he says he's not going to let these keys be forgotten. And so that's how it comes to all of us.
And the rest of that story is he comes down and he opens up a clinic in a very poor part of town, I believe.
Yeah.
And he starts, these are people that weren't working because of their disabilities that were coming to see him, and he was actually healing these people, and they got actually extremely mad at him because now they actually had to work because they had no excuse not to. Right.
They were begging on the streets because of their disabilities, and so they kind of went back into their patterns of...
Yeah. So he ended up packing up shop because he was so frustrated. He said, you know, this isn't what I was given this healing modality for. And then he decided that he was going to pass on the teaching to other people, but it was people that he actually chose. And when he chose them, he didn't do it for free. He's like, oh, I'm going to teach you Reiki, and by the way, it's $10,000. And back then, $10,000 was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so the reason I say that is because he was very picky with who he passed these teachings down to, because he felt that it was so sacred.
And it was the process also of valuing, like the money exchange, the exchange for the money was just a proof of the value that it had. So when you were paying this amount of money, you were demonstrating that this was valuable to you.
I didn't think of it that way. That's a good perspective. And that comes in handy when you're talking about Reiki practitioners and should they charge or shouldn't they charge. Because there's the belief out there that healing practices shouldn't be paid for. But Reiki practitioners are told, listen, there has to be an exchange here.
Energy of change, yeah. Even if it's just another service received, there has to be, or even paid forward, but there has to be an exchange. I think it's also an acknowledgement that we have received. When we pay for a service that we received, we're acknowledging I received that service. And because Reiki believes in respecting the free will, and the Reiki practitioners respect the free will, in you paying for the service, you're acknowledging, yes, I am accepting this service, I am accepting this energy. There is a flow of energy going here.
Yeah, because energy is just a flow of energy. Money is a flow of energy.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're just joining us, we are talking about energy healing and prayer with Carmen. And we are taking your questions live. We are live. We're live, right?
We're live. We're breathing.
We are live and alive. And it is our great pleasure to be here with you tonight talking about this subject from the wonderful Unity on the Bay in Miami, Florida. And so welcome Kevin, welcome Sandra, welcome Aaron Moore. Aaron Moore's a prayer chaplain. And welcome Carolina. So ask your questions. We're going to be checking in periodically to get those answered. And there's Reverend Juan. Give him a thumbs up there. There you go.
Maybe
I
not.
think you got to press it a little harder. Yep, there you go. So let's talk a little bit about prayer because we've been talking a lot about energy healing. So I'll start with saying that Unity on the Bay believes in affirmative prayer. Do you want to talk about what affirmative prayer is?
Affirmative prayer is connecting to who we truly are, to our oneness, to the power within, to the power that's all around us, to God being within and all around us, to going back to Jesus telling us, ask and you shall receive. And so it's just being in that mode of acceptance, of allowing ourselves to receive. So when we do affirmative prayer, we're already acknowledging that this is going to go our way, that this is going to move in a direction for our growth, that our needs are already met. So we're affirming that the end result is already achieved, completed. This or something better.
As opposed to a pleading prayer, which most the world is used to, like, please help me, God, I need help.
Which sometimes that, depending on what state we're in, that may be the only thing that comes out of our mouth. So
I've had plenty of pleading prayers. Especially when I get on 95 and the traffic's bad. Boy, do I plead with God. Let's see, we got a question here. I have a lot going on. My energy is very low. What is the best way to recover? This question's coming from Christina Hampton.
I would say for me, well, first thing is like sleep, rest, eat good food. But we're
usual
not
suspects.
Yeah, the usual suspects. I would say take time for yourself, even if it's like 5 minutes at a time, just 5 minutes of purposeful time set for yourself to unplug, to disconnect, to either do something you love. So maybe set 30 minutes to do something you love, but you can start with just 5 minutes. Like I remember I taught couple of times in Miami-Dade South, a meditation class. And I remember telling them, sometimes I stole myself away in the middle of work, go to the bathroom and just take a breather in the bathroom and just sit there and breathe. And I know it might not be the healthiest place to be breathing sometimes. Maybe you need to go to the family bathroom to have some privacy and silence. But I remember one of my students telling me, Carmen, I don't even have 5 minutes in the bathroom, because she had a 2-year-old. And so the 2-year-old would come into the bathroom with her and, you know, mommy this and mommy that. So she didn't, even when she was taking a shower or was in the bathroom, she couldn't steal 5 minutes for herself. So one thing that my Reiki master teacher taught me is to even do Reiki in the shower. So that's one way that I set up my day, is I start by doing Reiki in the shower. And so you can take that opportunity of taking a shower in the morning before going to work, or doing a shower at night before you go to sleep, to do it purposely and mindfully, and be appreciative of your body and your nails and your hands and your skin and your face and those things that we may criticize, because I know I can pass a mirror and criticize myself. But when you're taking those 15 minutes in the shower or 30 minutes in the shower, however long you're going to give yourself, just make it all about love. Make it all about joy. Make it all about appreciation. Even if something is hurting, if something is aching, it's like, I'm grateful for the nerves that flow through this arm that is hurting, that allow my brain to get the message that is hurting, so I know how to be mindful of it, how to be careful of it. So just find a way of making it an affirmative prayer, of making it positive, of appreciating everything, every little corner about your body. And so those little by little things, they just kind of add up. They will multiply, and little by little will build your energy and your stamina. And you will find more and more spaces to have time for yourself, and more ideas to have time for yourself.
That's some good advice, and I'll add 2 things to that, Christina. One is I happen to be a doer. I tend to do a lot, and I get exhausted from that. So when I am feeling exhausted, I know that I need to look at what am I not doing with joy, because the things that I'm doing, I'm just doing out of habit, and then I try to introduce joy with that, and that within itself is an energy that lifts me up. The other thing is if you can't get to a Reiki practitioner or an energy healer, go outside and stand in the sun, because sunlight contains every color of the chakras.
Yes.
So it's a fantastic way, a cheap way, a fast way to balance your chakras and get you in an alignment without seeing a Reiki master. It doesn't mean it's a substitute for a Reiki master, but because you know.
But the Lord provides. The universe is abundant, so there's more than one way to get things done. So
correct.
Yes.
Correct. Shantae, hey, more Kearney, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I know a lot of you are probably on your way home. Andrew has a question, it seems. I have a broken heart and finding it hard to recover from this. I have prayed, but I don't feel that I am healed. It's hard and I cry daily. It does help when I come to Unity on the Bay. And I think he has more to write, but what would you say to that?
Been there, done that. Crying is part of the process. I kind of almost cry just from connecting with you. I think our society expects us to be happy-go-lucky all the time, and it's okay to cry, and it's kind of challenging to function. And I think that's the biggest challenge. Is kind of like, how can I have a sick day to cry, and how do you explain that at work, that I just need to lay low and maybe sit down under a tree and write and journal and meditate. So I will say, allow yourself to feel the feelings, to know that it's totally normal, and it's a process that we cannot hurry. So your heart is going to take as long as it takes. I will also say it's a mourning process. So it has a cyclical nature. So some days may be better than other days. I would say journal. I would say talk to a trusted friend and just that is not gonna freak out about you crying out, because sometimes I think people they have their own crying suppressed, so they cannot handle somebody else crying. And I don't know, I would even say like go to a therapist if you need to. But it's normal, it's part of the process. And sometimes we just need to be sad and deal with that. And I would say do like a little gratefulness journal, because that's like try to find something that you're grateful for in your life. Even if it's for a great pair of shoes that are comfortable and a beautiful pair of slacks and you know what I mean? Like there's something fantastic and grateful about, and at the same time acknowledge the pain and the sorrow, and there's a place for that in our lives. We are human, we have feelings, and it's just part of living. Just loss and gain is just part of life. And so do that, and then I would say on the positive side, just to do some gratefulness journal and try to me that's like an easy way to find some joy in my life without it's a fruitful effort. It's something that has, to me, that it can has some results, and that's something that also adds up as you write, and then you can read all the stuff that you have written. What do you think?
No, I agree with everything you said, and Andrew, I hope that's helpful for you. And I'll just emphasize what Carmen said, like allow yourself to go through it. I think it's the resistance of things that sometimes make them worse. And also, one of the big things that we teach here at Unity on the Bay is sharpening and honing your ability to listen to inner guidance. And so really just pay attention to what's right for you, not necessarily going to the Google monster, I'll call it, and Googling how to get over a heartbreak, because that's not unique to you. Your inner spirit, your inner guide, your inner Christ will be able to guide you best through this hard time that you're going through. So, and of course you can always call 1-800-NOW-PRAY, and somebody will pray with you from the Unity movement. It's completely free, and it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that has been happening for over 100 years. So a very powerful resource to everyone who's connected to Unity, and really worldwide. Anybody can call in.
And it's an instant experience of, well, sometimes you have to wait a little bit before they answer, but it's an easy way to have an experience of affirmative prayer if you haven't had that experience before, and to have support, and it's at any time of the day. So if you feel like crying in the middle of your lunch break, you can go, or in the middle of the day, you can go to the bathroom and make that phone call, and so those 5 minutes in the bathroom are not alone, or with somebody else that's there to support you.
I'm actually typing it in the comments section now, 1-800-NOW-PRAY. And when I first heard of this, I was like, there's no way that there's going to be somebody there to pick up the phone 24 hours a day. So literally one time, 3 o'clock in the morning, I called, and sure enough, somebody picked up, and they were able to pray with me. And then they will pray over your prayer for 30 days after that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they will send you a follow-up email if you would like, or a follow-up old-fashioned snail mail letter.
Yeah. So we hope that helps you, Andrew. So let's see, what else can we talk about prayer? Oh wait, you know what? I think there was another question from the wonderful Shantae Haymore Kearney. She says, do you pray out loud and silently? Sometimes I pray silently, but when I wonder, does that really count?
That's a great question, Shantae. That's a great question. You know, I chant, and chanting is prayer, and I chant both ways, out loud and in silent. So I do feel, and I have experienced that when I chant out loud, because I do that in my car when I'm driving through traffic, I do feel that there is a different power to chanting out loud. It changes the vibration. My vibration, I think, quicker, easier, because I think all our just going back to the chemistry of our body, our cells are always, everything that's solid, like this table, is the cells are vibrating. So they're not really standing still, they're vibrating. So everything is in movement. So by us chanting, we're producing a specific vibration, and so that affects our physical body, our energetic body. Everything gets affected down to the bones. And so to me, that's the difference of a chant out loud, but the silent chant has power as well. And as to prayer, just regular prayer, I think when I'm by myself, I mostly do silent prayer. And then if I'm at church here, or if I'm sharing, or if I'm praying with somebody, then I will be praying out loud. I'll be praying out loud. But most of the prayer I do by myself. It's out loud. It's silent.
Oh, you're touching the screen, you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking like my computer. I can move the screen up and down, not in Jason's. Well, I wanted to see like the end of her question.
Let's see, Shante. Yes, she said sometimes.
Does it really count? So yeah. So in my book, in my book and in my experience, it does count.
That's a good question, Shante. I like that. But my favorite way to pray is out loud, and I usually do it in the car, just because first of all, I don't want to weird people out. Like I don't want to be in a room of people and just start talking to God. So I do it in the car, and what a better place than 95 to be praying. But I switch it up. I often go between just speaking my prayer as though I'm having a conversation with God. And also, like, I'll get into like this singing where I just start singing my prayer. And I am not a professional singer at all, but I feel like it brings this energy with it of joy and lightheartedness. And I feel in that I really connect to something. And it's much different than just praying silently. Shante also says, what's your favorite mantra?
So I make mantras as I go along. So, but one that was taught actually here in Unity, can't think of the name of the teacher, is Om Jyotir Aham, which translates, I believe, as I am light. So to me, that's one of my favorite mantras. That's usually the first mantra that I'll do. And also from Lessons in Truth, Emily Cady says, tell yourself that God loves you. So I made that a mantra. So I'll mantra God loves me, and so I'll do that. And then when I'm in traffic too, the other thing I do, Anthony DeMello talks about unconditional love, and so as I'm driving here to Unity to come to a class or something like that in the evening, I taught myself to just say I love you too. So as the cars, the cars that are driving in opposite direction to me, so I figured that will make it unconditional. So the ones that have nothing to do with my traffic. So to all those cars, I tell I love you, and I'm absolutely not moving, and they are not moving. And so I've gone through all the cars telling them I love you. I'll start with the cars on my side, in front, around, and it absolutely changes my energy. It makes me happy. So it's kind of selfish, but I believe they'll feel some of that energy. Some of that energy will carry over to them too, of feeling loved in the middle of traffic, and so maybe change their outcome of the day.
And of course, they look over at you laughing and smiling, and they're like, "What is she on?" And they start laughing.
I had not thought about that. But if it brings some laughter, then.
It seems like we're talking about traffic a lot here because we live in Miami. There's actually, do you know that there's a Reiki symbol to break through traffic?
I did not know.
It's Raku, I believe it is, and it's like a lightning bolt shape. And whenever I'm stuck in traffic, boy, I use that. It's actually the remover of obstacles, I think it's called. Well, if you're not really a Reiki practitioner, you can't really use it, right? We won't tell. But yeah, it's just like a lightning bolt, and Actually, just the motion of that makes me laugh while I'm in traffic, and that helps as well.
Yeah.
So it'll either move the cars or make you comfortable with where you're at. Let's see. Charles Altman says, I have panic attacks, sometimes really bad. I feel very lonely. I had a panic attack at a Unity service. It wasn't bad, but I don't know how to handle it. Any advice, energy advice on panic attacks or anxiety, high levels of anxiety?
First thing is to tell everybody that we're not therapists.
Yeah,
Um,
this is true. We are not therapists.
yeah. I would say to go down to what is the source. That it would be important to find out what is the source of the panic attacks, but coming to center to your heart. But in the middle of a panic attack, it may not be easily accessible for you to do that. So I would say to start a daily practice of like 5 minutes every day of coming to center to your heart. So it becomes familiar to you. So it becomes second nature. Kind of like when we are driving, just using the driving analogy again, but just like kind of like when we are, like I remember when I started driving, my poor mom was the one in the car with me. And so I remember, so I used to play badminton in high school, and having good eye and hand coordination was very important in high school. But it doesn't work the same way when you're driving. So when I was playing badminton, I didn't have to look at my hand, but my hand would go where my eye was going. But in driving, if I was doing that, it meant that I was looking to the right and the car was going to the right, which
Not good.
gave my mom a heart attack almost nearly every time. But so I've been practicing driving for a long time, so now it becomes second nature. So I can look to one side, but my car continues to go straight, even though I'm looking left or I'm looking right. So it becomes second nature, and we kind of do it automatically. So the practice of coming to your heart, of gratefulness, of being present with yourself, or of going to the breathing and slowing down the breathing, will assist you. Once you build it up enough, will assist you in apply it in the midst of a panic attack. But don't expect it to, and don't judge yourself if you cannot do it right away. And I think part of it too is just become the observer of that energy. If you're in a safe place where you can allow yourself to have the panic attack, of just allow yourself to be the observer of what energies, what thoughts are coming up, what ideas are coming up, what fears are coming up, and just allow yourself to be with yourself, to love yourself.
Yeah, we're not therapists, but that's great advice. I totally agree with everything you said, and you know, I also tend to have high anxiety, believe it or not. And the one thing that helps me is, again, not resisting it. When I feel that my anxiety is high, one of the affirmations I use is I am willing to be anxious, because I find that the thing about anxiety is here's the anxiety, and when you're anxious about being anxious, it's just a loop. So the moment I say I'm willing to be anxious, it stops that loop. And then I notice that my initial anxiety starts to decrease, if that's any help. I've never had panic attacks, so I can't really talk about that. But we hope that's some helpful information for you, Charles. And again, we do have a 1-800 number for prayer 24 hours a day, 1-800-NOW-PRAY. We put it in the comments section. Because we do believe that prayer works, that it can help any situation.
And definitely to feel supported, and to feel that you're not alone.
Yeah, because you aren't alone. The truth is if you were in a room of 200 people, maybe 100 people, and you ask people to raise their hand who's had a panic attack, you know, like 50 of them could raise their hands. Sometimes we feel like we're alone in the things that we experience, and we're more similar than we think.
Yeah, and sometimes we're not just, we don't share about it. It's not something we generally open a conversation with.
Yeah. All right, so keep the questions coming about prayer and energy healing. Is there anything you want to share about energy healing? You want me to start asking the questions? Because I'm full of them. Okay. So let's talk about chakras. I think there's something like 30,000 chakras in your body. And as energy healers, what you doing there?
I'm sorry, I'm clicking on stuff I shouldn't be clicking on.
Let me see. Let me go back down.
I opened another one of us.
There you go. Yeah, this mouse pad is really tricky. So there's like 30,000 chakras within the human body, but we only tend to focus on the 7 major ones. In your opinion, is there a chakra that's more important than another one?
That's a tricky question.
What's your favorite chakra?
My favorite chakra is that's kind of like asking if there's any one part of the body that's more important than the other. But we kind of like need everything to work in conjunction and in balance. And even though there are parts of the body that we can do without, it's so much better when everything is working in concert. So I believe that's the same thing with the chakras. Like a blocked chakra can it can, and I'll explain what that means. So a blocked chakra can prevent the other chakras from being in harmony. And so by blocked chakra, it could be anything from, for example, because that's the topic of the day, the Me Too movement. The second chakra is the sacral chakra, is the sexual chakra. And so it's not only about sex, but it's also about creativity and giving birth to ideas and projects and our talents and our gifts and all that stuff. But it could be as simple as, or not as simple or as complicated, or what it could be blocking it. It could be something like an incomplete project, an incomplete idea, something that we had this idea to do this project and something happened and we didn't complete it, or we had this idea but we were too afraid of failing with it, and I can totally relate to that. And so because we block the energy, we block the creativity on that level. So you may have like a blocked chakra on that, or it may be deeper than that, and there could be some child abuse or some kind of abuse that creates that. Or the solar plexus is the house of our personal power, and so we may feel that we cannot express ourselves properly at work, and so that may be blocking our solar plexus, our powerhouse. And so then we have to find ways to express our creativity, which can be as simple as getting one of those fantastic adult drawing books and start drawing, or exercise your power. So perhaps at work you have to, because of X, Y, and Z, you have to wear a certain uniform. You have to wear, like at work, I have to wear a uniform. I have to wear my hair a certain way. I have to do X, Y, and Z. But that doesn't mean that outside of work I cannot express my creativity. So when I'm doing massage and stuff, I have all the little crazy shirts with the little faces and the little happy butterflies, and so it's just kind of so. So when you ask the question of which chakra is more important, like the one that first came to mind is the heart. But we need all of them. Yeah. We need all of them to function properly.
So that is skirting around a question. No, it's true what you're saying. You can personally have a favorite one, but I think they all play their roles perfectly. And if you're not balanced in all of them, then you're just not balanced.
Right.
Yeah. I do like the heart chakra for the simple fact that it is it's the middle chakra, so it's perfectly in the middle of all the other chakras, and I feel like that is where you actually have the perfect balance between heaven and earth. Mm-hmm. It's like your perfect balance between your spirituality and your spirit and your body, really.
Yeah.
The physical and the non-physical. So I particularly like the heart. And for a long time, I thought that the heart chakra was red because you always see red hearts.
Oh.
But you know, it's not.
It's green, the color of the heart chakra.
Yeah.
Yes, it's green. And the other color from the spiritual perspective is pink. And that always stayed with me. Yeah. And I don't remember the colors of the other chakras from the spiritual perspective, but the one from the heart always stayed with me. So yeah, so I see that energy when I'm working with the energy, or I'll project that energy when I'm working to balance the heart chakra. Mm-hmm. Also from Drumbalo Melchizedek, he teaches about going into the heart, going into our physical heart, to find that spot where there is no black and white, where there is not, so that place of wholeness and completeness, of oneness. And so to me, that's also another definition of finding that place between heaven and earth.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it, and often I see the Star of David as a representation of that, because if you break the Star of David down, it's like two arrows, like one pointing up to the heavens, one pointing down to the earth. And I feel like if there was any symbol for the heart chakra, it should be that, because it's like the perfect balance between the two.
Love that. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true or not. It's just something that I see in the Star of David.
The Merkaba. Yes.
Yeah. So you guys are pretty quiet on here. If you have any questions, we have about 15 minutes left. Can you believe it? Time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Correct. So if you have any questions about prayer, any questions about energy healing, about Reiki, you can ask them now. Just put them in the comments section. I will remind you that we do have Reiki healing circles here at Unity on the Bay that I feel like have been going on since Jesus was born. Yeah, we've had them here for a very long time.
You might be exaggerating a little bit.
I like to exaggerate. It's a lot more fun. But Carmen actually does one of the circles, and that's the first Wednesday of every month.
Yes.
At 8:15 p.m. in the Cameron House. And what people usually do is they'll come to the Om hour at 7 o'clock, get their meditation groove on, and then they'll come over to Carmen's Reiki circle and get some Reiki, and people leave here like
on air, floating.
Yeah. Floating on air. So check that out. It's on our calendar on our website, unityonthebay.org. Gosh, what else are we going to talk about?
Well, the second Reiki circle is on the third Wednesday of the month, and
Correct.
That's Teresa.
And
so we have 2 different flavors, so you can check both of us out and see. Next Wednesday is the first Wednesday of the month already, so it's around the corner if you want to check it out.
So you can come see Carmen live, like real live, not Facebook Live.
Oh, and if the stars and the planets align, Tony Aviles will be with me next Sunday, next Wednesday, and so he's also a Reiki practitioner, and he's gonna be using the gong. So we're gonna be having Reiki with the vibration of the gong to work along, to help us to align.
So some like sound healing to go with that.
Yes.
Wow, that's a treat.
That's a treat. Yeah, that's not the typical circle, so it's just a little extra. Yes.
We like extra. Michelle says, "Hi, Carmen, love you."
Hi, love you. Michelle Austin is another Reiki practitioner, and so she'll be with us next Wednesday too.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So let's talk about what does a typical Reiki. Oh, hey, Gerard. What does a typical Reiki session look like? If somebody was to come to you for a personal Reiki session, what could they expect?
So the first thing would be we will talk to see what it is that they are seeking. And so that will be, and then we will center and start. That's it. Easy and simple. But it will be, what is their purpose for the treatment? What is their intention? I say we will focus our attention on that intention, and then go through the process of balancing the chakras. And so Reiki can be it can be hands-on healing. So my hands can be on your body, or they can be above your body. And so so that's based on the preference of the person. And I don't know how to explain it, how else to explain it. It's just like people experience it differently. So some people may experience it as relaxation. Some people may pass out on the table. Some people may just have this keen awareness and clarity come to them. Some people may just feel really happy and joyous. And so different people experience different things. And even every time that you get a Reiki treatment, it's different each time.
And the cool thing about Reiki is you don't have to be present to receive it. There's a Reiki symbol called Hasho Shasho Nain, which is a total Scrabble word, if you could spell it. Hasho Shasho Nain. I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly.
I don't think so.
Well, the other great thing about Reiki is when a practitioner is doing it, you actually invite in Reiki practitioners from the past, and they can kind of guide you. So when you say a name incorrectly, you're always forgiven and guided. So I'm so sorry if Hasho Shasho Nain is not the correct name. I think it's pretty close. So Hasho Shasho Nain.
Yeah, Hasho Shasho Nain.
Yeah, it's a very long symbol too, but it is actually one that you use when you are distance healing. So oftentimes when I work with people who are not in Miami, we usually set a time, and I say, 9 o'clock at night, make sure that you're resting in bed, and I'm going to do a long distance Reiki healing, and I use Hasho Shasho Nain, and so it totally cuts through the belief of time and space.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say also, because time and space doesn't exist, that you can, even if you're not available at the time when they're available, you can do the treatment with the expectation of this is when they're going to receive it. And also with the intention of they're going to receive it when at the time for their highest good within specific time frame. And so work from that level too, from that aspect. And those are powerful too. And messages, I received messages too on those one, because messages, ideas, thoughts, processes, healing, I don't know how to explain the messages, but healing ideas or healing comments that the person may need to hear come to us as practitioners. And so even on the long distance Reiki happens as well. We get those messages too. Yeah,
and sometimes you're like, what? It's so random, right? And you're like, should I ask this question or should I tell them this? And usually it's spot on when you tell them.
Yes, and it's well, to me, whenever I get the messages, I challenge them, because to make sure that it's not my mind creating them. That is, so when I keep getting the same message repeatedly, then I know I have to deliver it. So.
Good stuff, good stuff. We have 9 minutes left. If you have any questions in you that need to be asked, ask them now. And of course, if you're watching this after we stop going live, you can always leave your questions in the comment section, and Carmen will check it at all times of the night and get back to you. I swear it's water that's in these mugs. I swear.
Yes.
Yeah. So so if you're watching this after we've gone live, you can still ask your questions, and we'd be happy to answer them. So
Eventually, not at all times
Yeah.
of the night. But
Yeah.
It may be. I may be up early.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to work really early in the morning, so my body still thinks, and my dog still thinks that I work early. So she'll wake me up to eat her food at that time. So.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you'll get your questions answered early in the morning. Early. So I don't think we mentioned that Reiki is actually a Japanese form of energy healing. I'm not sure if you said that earlier.
I did say Dr. Usui
Okay.
was Japanese at the very beginning.
Okay, well then we covered that. But there are other healing modalities. Reiki is not the only one. There's Qigong, which is the Chinese form of energy healing. So the great thing about Reiki is Reiki doesn't think that it's the only healing modality out there.
Right.
There's a bunch. I know there's the Reconnection by Eric Pearl. It always seems that there's healing modalities surfacing out there.
Yeah, isn't there one called Hands of Light or something like that?
Yeah, I think I've heard of that one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Reiki is definitely one that we have experience in. And we also, as Reiki practitioners, we can do healings on ourselves.
Yes. Like I mentioned,
yeah,
like in the shower before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The throat, the heart.
It's so nice to receive, though. It's nice to allow ourselves to be taken care of, but it's definitely nice also to be able to work on ourselves. There was a time that I used to do that, to wake up in the morning, because when I got to treating my legs so we do minor chakras and the knees and ankles, so I had to actually get up from bed to get to my knees and my ankles. So that was my way to, maybe I should start doing that again. It's a nice way it was a very nice way to get up and start my day.
Yeah. It definitely gives you an energy boost, I'll say that. Yeah, but like I said earlier, if you can go out into the sun and enjoy sunlight, that's a great way to balance your chakras. So if we don't have any other questions, we might just say, have a wonderful night.
Sayonara.
All
Thank you
right.
for sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us for tea time. We try to do tea time once a month or twice a month. It's not always with Carmen. I'm always here, but it's not always Carmen sitting here.
Different people every time.
Yeah, different people every time. So if you like this video and you think that somebody can benefit from it, please share it.
Show it some love.
Yeah. Like Martha Creek says, share it with a friend, share it with somebody you don't like. Just share it.
She does say that.
Just make sure you pass it along. And like our Facebook page and follow our Facebook page, because that is a great way for you to get notified when we go live, especially on Sunday mornings, because we have a live service here at Unity on the Bay at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with wonderful music. We got to talk about that. So just make sure you like and follow us on Facebook. The last thing I'll say is we have a workshop this Saturday called the Q Effect. It actually stands for the Quantum Effect, and it's by a gentleman named Gary Simmons, and it's a powerful workshop in uncovering your true self and who you came here to be, and it allows you to not have anything or no one against you anymore in your life. The reason I'm holding up this book is it's a companion book to the Q Effect, and it says, "Who have you come here to be?" So if you're available to take this workshop this Saturday, I highly recommend it. It'll change your life. I believe it starts at 9 o'clock. It's called the Q Effect, and you can find it on Unity's website. So with that, we will say sayonara. Is that Japanese? Sticking with the theme.
Yes.
So thanks again for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.
Yes, have a blessed night. Thank you for being with us.